bum 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 bum. It's Noise Cancelling, the podcast you're on. And Sherri, I was hoping you'd take over because you were singing this in the build-up, and it was far more melodic than me.
I was, but then you you cut it short. You gotta give me at least a 10-second lead in, man.
Okay, I panicked, if I'm honest. Hello, everyone. This is the Noise Cancelling podcast where we talk about all things tech and fail to give you any real information if you really dig into it. So don't do that. I am joined this week by
Sherri L. Smith, editor-in-chief of Laptop Mag.
James Peckham, phones editor for TechRadar.
Matt Swider, managing editor at TechRadar.
And Gareth Beavis, that's me, global editor-in-chief of TechRadar, and I just got my finger caught in my headphones. How are we all this week? It's been Superbowl week, Sherri. That's good in America, right?
Yeah, that's big in America. Neither team is my team. Sad Mahomes lost, but I feel like there were a lot of calls. I felt like the refs were being a little bit stringent, but it is what it is.
Ref's gonna ref, no matter what country you're in. That's how we feel. Matt, did you watch Super Bowl? You're also American, therefore I assume legally you have to watch it.
I did. I liked the people in the red costumes. They were good.
Pexy, I'm going to come to you, obviously, because I missed you out. I know that you have celebrated Thanksgiving in the UK before, so you must have some kind of enjoyment of American culture. Did you watch Super Bowl? Did you enjoy it? Was it the greatest ever?
I caught the weekend's performance afterwards, but I did not see any of the actual sport.
Okay, good. I feel like we've really covered this. The only downside is we'll cover it a bit more because one of the most popular articles on TechRadar this week was our lovely roundup of all the Super Bowl ads where Samuel Roberts, who has come on this podcast before, our entertainment editor, basically went through and rounded up each one of them and put deliberately, I'd say, scathing commentary on some of those and just gave us a flavour of what he thought about the different ones. I think Jeep came out quite badly there. But the great thing is that it gave us a real good insight into what kind of adverts come there. So what I want to know is, if I gave you a primetime Super Bowl ad spot, what would you fill it with, Sherri?
Well, of course, it'd be Laptop Mag stuff and some noise canceling, and I would do it in the style of the Old Spice commercials with that beautiful, beautiful man. I forget his first. I think his first name is Mustafa. Where it's like, I'm on a horse, and now look again, and now it would be just off the wall, totally like that, because that matches my chaotic energy.
Okay, so like drinking the Kool-Aid. I like it. Swider, what about you?
Lots of puns, lots of dad jokes, and I would, if it would be a TechRadar commercial, which of course it would be, because that's my life. I would do it film it during an Apple event, but yet like a Jeff Bezos speaking softly to the camera and talking about the organization, but there's chaos going on in the background because it's an Apple event and we're all covering it and live blogging it. That would be the situation that I would record, because that's how we roll.
Yeah, but behind the scenes, we both know that the Apple events are very rarely chaos. If anything, it's kind of like it's too much organized. It's too organized in the sense that everything is just happening, and you're like, you better jump on this train, or you're not going to get to play with the phone for the prerequisite amount of time, or the tablet, or whatever. So I feel like you'd have to kind of just, I don't know, create some sort of mass diversion in the background to create some panic, give you that sense of barrier.
I think the Apple days of old were a little bit more chaos, especially when that live stream went down.
True. Good times. Lots of traffic for us that day. Loved it. James R.W.P. Peckham, or James R.W. Peckham.
I'm going to make my own Super Bowl halftime show in the middle of the ad breaks, and I'm going to do something on GarageBand and have a 30-second little slot where I perform some of my new tracks as a little miniature show that people will prefer to watch rather than seeing the weekend. That's my plan.
So you're going to Jackson it? Is that what you're trying to say?
Yeah, basically, yeah.
Yeah, okay, cool. I don't really know, because especially because my parents listen to this podcast, I don't know how to bring up the thing that I keep wanting to say. Like, a while ago, somebody have you ever played that game like Would You for lots of money, or Would You Rather, that kind of thing, where someone presents you with a really difficult conundrum of like, for all the money in the world. So the question centered around the World Cup final, a very well watched football match, a soccer match, sorry, but for the Super Bowl. So say someone gave you this ad. So I'll do the sanitized version of what I was asked. But for 20 seconds, you just have to stand in front of a camera, just naked, for all the money in the world, for riches for the rest of your life. But that's all you can do. You're just standing there naked for 20 seconds in front of the entire world, and everyone's going to look at you, and everyone's going to know that's who you are, and they know that's what you did, and it's going to go everywhere. And would you do it? And it's one of those like, but you had all that money, you could disappear, but then also your life is over. But
no, I do it. Like with that type of money, like I could get plastic surgery, clean up a few what I consider a few problem areas. And with the money, like the nonprofits and other things that I do with it, no one would care. It'd be like it'd be a very Lady Godiva type of situation.
I already do this with my OnlyFans account, but no one actually pays me money. So please visit my OnlyFans. Thanks, guys.
Doing strange for change.
We also have a TV show in the UK called Naked Attraction, which is a dating show where you go on naked. You have to, like, you start the show naked. So people do this for free. Yeah. Yeah, it's an oddity of UK TV.
Okay, the version that I had, I can't say it, but it was a lot more. It was a lot more graphic, and it made a much bigger question mark over whether you would want to be known as that. No, even if it's like you disappear with plastic surgery and you do lots of great things for charity, that's your reputation gone forever. But I'm going to gloss over.
I mean, do you got to do jumping jacks? Do you have to do you have to do a goatsy? Like what's going on? What's going on? What's like?
I mean, you gave the entire spectrum there. It's somewhere on that one. But yeah. I think we should just move on, and I'm going to give it to Pexy because the first two are too brown nosy for your sites. So Pexy, I like the fact you're going to redo it. It's good. I like the fact you're going to bring the Janet Jackson moment back. But and talking to Pexy, it's the Gadget Hall of Fame. Gadget. You are going to be presenting us with a reasonable gadget from your past, whether it's your first gadget, the best gadget, whatever, and we're going to decide we're going to put it in this hallowed Hall of Fame. And if it's a flamethrower, that would be great because we could use it to torch Matt Swider's headphones. That's the goal.
It is not a flamethrower. So I have chosen a very particular piece of tech that I'm sending all three of you a link to right now because I don't think you would have heard of it. This is a games console called Scanners. It came out in the year 2000 and it is a barcode scanning small game, essentially a Digimon sort of element thing. Gareth's face has dropped like he remembers exactly what this is.
No, but I had a barcode battlers.
Yeah, it's a very similar thing to that, I think. So essentially, you can scan a barcode in any of your mum's shopping. That was how it was proposed to me. That, for example, a box of Cherry Bakewell cakes would give me some kind of flying monster, or if it was a can of baked beans, it would give me some kind of like massive T-Rex. And then you can make them fight. You could basically do what you could do with Pokemon and Digimon. But it was a much cheaper console than a Game Boy. And I think it was probably around £40 sort of thing, and you could scan any barcode in the world. And I was obsessed with it when I was about, I don't know, probably about 12. Yeah, love that thing, and I want to try and get that into the Hall of Fame.
Okay, so talk to me about this. I've got big interest here. How did you scan the barcodes? It was like an infrared thing at the end?
Yeah, so there's an infrared scanner on the end, essentially just made for scanning barcodes. That's all you could do, and then it would hatch a little monster when you've scanned your barcode. And it could be anything. It was I was not allowed to take it to the supermarket, which as a 12-year-old I was very upset about.
What? Why not?
I think my mum thought probably that I was trying, like it would look like I was trying to steal things, but yeah, I was not allowed to. So it had to be anything my mum actually bought in shopping.
I mean, literally, there's barcodes on nearly everything, so I don't see that as a problem. Yeah. But yeah, I've looked at it. My barcode battler from 1991 was very similar. But like, what we had to do was you had to cut out the barcode and stick it exactly at the bottom of a card and scan it through and swipe it through. Fuck, did it work like 1 in 20 times? And I got quite bored of it quite quickly. And all it did was give you a number on the thing, like a top trumps kind of thing. And I did like 6 of them. And when I got into work, I was like, it was just like a shit version of the ones that came in the bag. Or in the box, sorry. I love the idea. It was brilliant, but I hated it. Now I want to go and buy one and see if I can make it work.
Well, the one I'm talking about is 20 years old now, and I don't think you'll be able to find one. But there may be one at my mum's house, so I'm going to ask her. I've just put an Amazon link for you there straight away. So okay, damn right, amazing.
I mean, it's out of stock, admittedly, but you know, it still exists in theory.
Yeah, and then if
out
you
there.
look at the top of that image, you can see the connector, and you could, if you had friends that had them as well, you could connect the two. Never did that because none of my friends ever had one of these. Who owned one of these? But yeah, I want to try and get this into the Hall of Fame.
Cool. Okay, Sherri, thoughts?
It sounds like a very, very sad version of a grocery store scanner.
It is that, yeah.
You said a sad version. I'm like, it sounds like a fucking awesome version.
Well, you just said yours only worked one out of 20 times. So
Mine worked all the time.
Okay, then all right, then that sounds great. That sounds really cool. What Gareth was describing was just it was just like, oh well.
I'm not advocating for mine to go in. Let's be clear. It was a real disappointment, but it was a decade before Pexy's one. So clearly they thought there's a lot of cleverness here. I mean, why is that not brought back as an app?
Right, that this is exactly what I was thinking. It should be a mobile game now that you can use a QR code. Done, boom, QR code scanner, easy.
No, just a normal barcode, not even a QR code.
Yeah,
because I like what Gareth was describing was like digital coal for some kid that you hate.
I still loved it. I wasn't good enough at sellotaping. That's the problem, or scotch taping as you'd call it. I think it's definitely going in. I'm a big fan. It's made me feel a lot like the barcode battler needs to have an improvement on it. Right. Let's talk about things that have happened this week. It's news time. And again, I don't know why we started over and over with Pexy. You're really headlining today's podcast, James. The Xiaomi Mi 11 was revealed, but no Pro or Lite. I mean, who cares? Tell us why we care.
Yeah, if you're in the US, you're probably not going to care. So it's probably a conversation just between me and you here, Gareth. Xiaomi Mi 11 is their latest flagship phone. It was announced previously in December for the China market, but they are now bringing it to other markets, and it's coming to the UK. It's coming to Europe in general. As we say, there's no Pro or Lite models, which we were expecting. Actually, we were thinking we were going to be hearing about them at the launch that happened earlier this week, but it isn't. 108 megapixel camera is the headline feature here. So we're very excited to try out this camera. We've not yet been able to touch the phone though. But everything here is top spec. You've got 120 hertz screen. Variety of other top end specs here. If you're looking for an alternative to the Galaxy S21 or the iPhone 12, Xiaomi could have it here. We don't know the UK price exactly yet, but the European price suggests it's going to be around the Galaxy S21 price, but slightly higher specs. So interesting if you're living in the UK. If you're living in a market such as India, it's pretty certain that the Mi 11's coming there. But I'd put money on the fact that it won't be coming to the US.
But I mean, so why? I thought that Xiaomi was quite significantly cheaper than Samsung. This is, not that much.
Not that much, but remember that Samsung have dropped their specs this year for the Galaxy S21 series. Xiaomi have slightly upped their prices as they've continued to make tech. And they have just started bringing in even more top end features. They're now a rival to those top end brands. So I would say you're getting more for your money with the Xiaomi choice. Can't say for certain yet whether you should buy it because we haven't reviewed the product yet, but at the moment it looks very, very good on paper.
And Swider, Sherri, give me some thoughts on Xiaomi. I know that obviously it's not the prominent US brand that it is, not even prominent in the UK compared to places like Spain or India. But I mean, what's your view on the company? How does it manifest in your psyche?
It does not, because it's not allowed here. The name is pretty. I like saying it, Xiaomi. I like it. It rolls off the tongue, but I've never been able to touch any of these phones. Matter of fact, the only time I see these phones, and that is very rarely, is when I go to Computex, and I have never been to a Mobile World Congress. So I have literally I've touched luxury phones like Vertu more than I've touched a Xiaomi.
Back in 2016, when I went AWOL from TechRadar in China for a little while, mostly because I didn't have a VPN, I got to visit the headquarters of Xiaomi in, I think it was in Beijing. And that was interesting, but they took me on a tour of their store, and I felt like I was walking into an Apple store. Everything was very Apple-like. The only problem I had with the company, besides them not being in the US and constantly teasing like, oh, we could come to the US any day now, is the fact that their name is hard to spell, just because we don't type it in very often in the US, and we're like, Xiaomi.
You get used to it.
Yeah,
Come on. Yeah, it's like,
yeah,
you've been spoiled with ZTE being the main Chinese brand for you because that's
I
just
know.
spelled out straight for you. So ZTE, it's either just the same E sound over and over. But,
Yeah,
the Xiaomi, it's get used to it.
yeah.
Time
I think it's the fact that we only type
Xiaomi.
it in once a year in the US that you're like, "How? All right, how's that spelled?" So they need to come to the US.
Yeah. And we had a great interview with the I should remember the name of the person that we spoke to of the Xiaomi brand for the TV side of things. Nick Pino was had a good sit down chat with them to find out who was it they spoke to. Emery Babb, a product marketing manager from Xiaomi. And there's the new TV that they made called the Q1 TV, and it will have essentially all the top specs for a TV. It looks great. It has a great refresh rate, HDMI 2.1 ports, which is the new fancy thing. It will play your PS5 games and Xbox Series X games really well. Local dimming zones, all the real top tech that you'd imagine to have on a TV, and yet it's going to be quite significantly cheaper than things like the Samsung Q80T, which is a top end TV. And then Xiaomi goes to all this effort of chatting to Nick over in the US, then goes, yeah, well, it's just not going to come to the US or the UK. So now we just sit here feeling sad. But these brands are still disruptive. In America, you've got TCL and Vizio as well, who are those brands doing quite good top end tech for not as much money. You don't get the same level of quality, obviously, but the trade off is pretty good. And we often see during Black Friday and peak trading times that people do gravitate towards these TVs. So there's a lot to love there. But if Xiaomi's going to get involved, it needs to do it now. And hopefully this everyone sorts themselves out and we can buy the good things that we want to buy and they're all safe and everything's wonderful. And there's a bit of a fight back. And talking of fighting back, Sherri, Intel. There's the big. I don't know. I feel like it wasn't that long ago where AMD and Apple were the underdogs in the chip space, and who was making the best silicon, etc. And suddenly it's Intel who's the underdog, and apparently, inverted commas, is fighting back. So, what's the deal? Do we care? Is it true? Is it nonsense?
The proof is yet to be. The proof is in the pudding. I have yet to taste this pudding. I will. So I will file this under. I will believe it when I see it. So basically, Intel fired back over the weekend with some saucy claims that its latest Tiger Lake chip, the Core i7 1185 G7. It's a lot of numbers, a lot of letters. Will outperform the Apple's M1 chip. They also threw a couple of shots at AMD with the Ryzen 4000 series. I mean, in like a chip war, you're going to hear three things: better performance, longer battery life, some form of gaming performance. Intel is saying all of that, but I mean, when I review the MacBook Pro 13-inch with the M1 chip, the thing got ridiculous amounts of battery life. It was spanking everything in the performance section. Speaking of that battery life, it lasted 16 hours and 32 minutes on the laptop mag battery test. So that's really, really impressive. So Intel is really going to have to bring it. Like right now, it's just a lot of talk. I don't have any of these laptops to say, oh, well, yeah, this is absolutely true. Right now, it just sounds like hot air and vigorous fist shaking, like I'll get you, my pretty, and your little chips too. But listen, competition at the end of the day is great for the consumer, because if the more players that you have in a game, potentially you have better prices, and that makes everyone happy. So, of course, Intel, bring it hard, come back for your crown. Let's see what you're gonna do. What you gonna do, brother? Against no, because Hulk Hogan's a little bit of a racist, so I'm gonna stop that one right there. But the fight's on. If you really got it, like, show and prove. That's basically all I have to say about it.
Yeah, and I think it's great to for the average consumer who might not might not really know why this matters. Everyone's probably assumed that Intel just is in everything because that's what you do when you buy a laptop, and that's always the way that the world has worked. And now we've got AMD coming and doing some great things, and now we've got Apple genuinely coming in and being disruptive and seem to be like, okay, well, let's just spend like a couple of years looking at how to do a good chip. Here's a good chip. Oh, great. And it's actually made a big difference to the market. And yeah, when there's a three-way race, it is always the consumer who wins. So that is really pleasing to see. And it's good to see people making things. I always like that because the ex-founder of OnePlus, Carl Pei, is literally making nothing.
Nothing.
Nothing. That's the name of the new company. Now, that won't be a surprise to some people who've been following the industry for a while because Carl Pei has been still not entirely sure why he left OnePlus. Many rumors abound, but none of them substantiated, but has his own company now called Nothing. And that's going to be not a phone brand, Pexy, but an audio brand.
Yeah, a wider brand than audio, I think. Smart home seems to be the terminology they're going for at the moment. But Pei has confirmed in an interview that their first product will be wireless headphones, and then there will be other products to follow later in the year. I don't think they fully confirmed there'll be smart home products, but it seems like it's going to be a brand that spreads over a variety of different verticals in that way. I don't think it's just going to be an audio brand. Instead, it seems like it's going to be smart home abound essentially. And one of the investors in the company is Google. So there are rumors that it could be something to do with Google Assistant related hardware that could end up happening. We genuinely don't know yet, but we will be seeing some headphones from Nothing by some point this year. We don't know anything more than that at the moment. It's an annoying name to say though, isn't it? Like immediately I'm already like, oh, Nothing.
I am
you love
just
it, don't
waiting.
you?
I am waiting for the who's on first version of this joke. What are you listening to? Nothing. No, I see that you have something in your ear. What are you listening? Nothing. Like I am. The jokes will write themselves.
Yeah.
I'm already typing these up right now. Thank you. This is great.
Yeah, and I mean, the thing is, we see a lot of different brands. Like this puts me in mind of the Essential phone from Andy Rubin, the founder of Android. Really it should have been a really great device because it had the real heritage behind it. It had a lot of great engineers working on the project, and it was a good phone. But again, I just get sad for like some of the tech industry. Like we watched in the smartphone world, everything go crazy. HP, HTC, LG, Sony, all start to really pick up and take it to the iPhone, and then obviously Samsung went crazy, and then all these different brands started to fall away over the time because they just couldn't keep up with the marketing spend and the kind of the constant just ramming home that these phones are the best because they spend the most money on them. And there were missteps from most of those companies as well, but I just feel like these disruptive ideas, Nothing's an annoying name, but I bet you within there's some clever ideas that they're coming up with. It's based on, it's raised funding based on some good, smart ideas. But you just think it's just so hard to break through. OnePlus is a good example, but they came from a company that had, the BBK Holdings, who have got a lot of money to invest and make these things happen. And that really succeeded because of the fact that it built a reputation for being the upstart and the disruptor. I don't know if you can do that again. But in terms of disruptions, Pexy or Swider, actually, let's hear from you, Matt. We haven't heard enough. Would you buy a foldable iPhone? You're often first in line to buy one of the new iPhones, or at very least skipping work to go down to the Apple store to go and get one. So
it's part of my job to be there and to cover that line.
Yeah, and every time we get an article about it, and it's why I was like, yeah, this is me. And then you try and pitch an article for you at a bodega, and then an article for you going to a dentist. And I'm like, hang on a minute, Matt. This is just you having a day out.
And the world deserves to know. But I'll be first in line, or as soon as I can get there, without having to wait days on end.
You'll be retired by the time this comes out, Matt.
And I know. I'm getting up there, and Apple is always late to the game. They're always like 2-3 years behind whatever is trending, whatever Samsung is doing. But they tend to get it right. It seems like they're going with a flip style phone, according to the rumors, instead of a fold type of phone that folds in half and folds out to be a tablet. I generally I like the fold style phone because I would rather have a tablet with me than a phone that folds in half. That really doesn't do a lot for me, but it seems like the flip is the cheaper option and more they can appeal to a lot more consumers that way. So
Yeah, and there's a lot, you can imagine for Apple, anything that cannibalizes the iPad business is obviously going to be slightly dangerous. The Flip, like you said, it's more of you can imagine a much smaller iPhone into a longer, larger one. But you said obviously Apple's often late to the game. Most consumers or iPhone fans would argue that they are on time to the game. They get there at the right time. But I still feel like with this foldable thing, no one's going to get this right because foldable phones are like so many things. Like even electric vehicles, they're growing in popularity, yeah, but no one goes, "Oh, I can't wait to buy my new electric car." It's sort of like the understanding that you get to a point, you're like, "Oh, I'm going to go electric. This is pretty cool." I don't feel like it's something that people have really been like, "Oh God, I can't wait to get rid of this petrol engine and go electric." It's just sort of made more sense and made more sense and made more sense. And I feel like foldable phones are the same thing. You're like, "Oh, that sounds cool. Yeah, one day, yeah, I'll get there one day. That sounds like a good idea." And then you're presented with, "Well, do you want to spend $2,000 on a phone?" You're like, no, not yet. Tell me when they come big." And it's that kind of, you have to build the momentum to make it happen. So like Pexy said, I don't know if this is ever going to happen for Apple. Apple's history is littered with so many things where, nearly bought the TV brand Lerv apparently to make an actual TV brand. Didn't happen. The car that was supposed to happen and may still happen, rumored to keep disappearing. Whatever happens with these Apple tags, the VR headsets / the Apple glasses goes away, comes back again. There's clearly things going on behind the surface, under the surface, sorry, at Apple. And who knows if they'll ever turn up. And I can imagine never seeing a foldable phone from Apple.
I mark those words. We'll see. I think
I can
that's
imagine
why.
it. I didn't say it wouldn't happen. I said I can
Oh,
imagine it never
oh,
happening.
oh,
Hedging
oh,
bets all over the place.
I'm gonna take those words out of context then in the future. I think that's why they are going with the Flip, or allegedly going with that, testing it out at least. But it's easier whenever I take the Samsung Galaxy Z Flip out with me and tell people about it, and then show them the Fold. They see the Flip and they say, "Oh, that's more practical." So it's even though I don't think it's as good in some ways, it's just practical for people easing into a foldable phone. So I think that's where if they're going to do it, they'll ease into the entire idea.
Yeah, the only downside is it makes a really long phone, and people don't really
Mhm.
want super long phones. No matter what the brands keep pushing on us. The idea that you can watch a movie in its original format, it's like, I don't really care. I'd rather be able to see more stuff when I'm browsing the internet and things. I mean, Sherri, what about you? Obviously, as we've often heard on this parish, that you are a Note fan. You like a Galaxy Note. You like to poke things with a
Yes,
non-finger.
yes, I do. Do I think that Apple will make a foldable phone? I think that Apple will sit back and watch Samsung and potentially LG and Microsoft do their foldables, watch and wait and bide their time, and then come out and Columbus it. Like, look, we have created the fold. We have created a folding fold or rollable fold or whatever it's going to be. And everyone's going to be like, "Oh my God, Apple did this," like they did with the pencil. Apple created the pencil.
Sharp. Sharp made it the propelling pencil a long time ago. Fun fact.
Hmm.
If you ever do one of those Christmas features where it's like, did you know that Nokia started by making rubber bits and stuff? Nintendo had love hotels. Sharp made the propelling pencil. Fun fact.
All right. I've learned something today.
Yeah, learned that at my nan's house. That's where I was doing that feature many years ago.
Oh, real quick, speaking of things that kind of just flickered out of existence, a moment of silence for Google Daydream. Google has shut down the app store for Daydream, so now we are just Daydream believers, or whatever you want to call it. It has gone the way of the dodo. Um Daydream, we barely knew ye. I had fun with you for the quick time that you were here with your fabric covered self and your semi high res displays. So thank you for your contributions to VR, I guess.
Daydream turned into more of a nightmare.
Matt, you've got to work on your delivery. You know, you know. You have the skills for the puns, but I can hear your smile, even if I'm not looking at you. Like, here comes one, guys, get ready. Daydream, and I'm like, what's it going to be? Nightmare? Yeah, no, there we go, got it. Yeah,
Check.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, but I also feel like you enjoy the negativity of a bad pun. So I feel like it all works out for you in the end. It all comes up Swider.
There is something to be said about a groaner for a bad pun. Like, you know, like you're just itching for that negative reinforcement.
This is actually all very deep and very true.
Oh, Jesus.
Yeah, I think the pun has a very different place in British culture. I don't know if it's because we grew up on James Bond films or what have you, but it has a much more, I don't know, there's a danger to a pun in the English world for some reason. I don't know why. Anyway, finally, before we get to the news blast with Matt Swider taking his first steps into trying to say many things in 60 seconds, I just want to quickly talk about something that frightens me, which is deepfakes. Deepfakes, if you haven't heard about these, which I'm sure you at least have seen, is the ability to take a picture of somebody or a scan of their face and place it onto the video of somebody else, and it looked very realistic. You know, you've been on social media of late, you've probably seen countless apps showing, you know, like, hey, Snoop Dogg's on something else, or like Harrison Ford is exchanged for Chris Pratt in
I saw one yesterday,
looking really good.
Can I just tell you about what I saw yesterday, which was Willem Dafoe onto Laura from Twin Peaks, and it was just the strangest experience.
Ooh, I don't want that. Oh no.
only 20 seconds, and it really got to me. It really freaked me out.
But those are the things where you can actually tell this is probably not real. But what's more worrying is that, you know, people can use these for more nefarious means. So trying to actually properly deepfake and make people believe that, you know, the president of the United States is saying something when they're not. Actually, that's not a good example. Shouldn't say that. Someone in power is saying something when they're not, and everyone obviously naturally believing it because it's on the internet. But there's detectors that can stop that. But researchers are finding ways around that now, just to prove that it can be done. Thankfully, not from black hat attackers, but, you know, by inserting extra frames in, they can offset things like, you know, blinking not looking right, and that's often a way that the AI machines can tell, hang on, it's a deep fake, and it can even get past being compressed and resized and stuff like that. But I don't know, like the whole idea of deep fake, it just makes me feel uneasy. The idea that, you know, that movie studios, for instance, have bought up, you know, the digital rights of some celebrities who have died many, many years ago, and may reuse them again in the future in films because they can combine this technology with real actors, and suddenly they're back to life again. It just doesn't feel right, even though it would be, you know, for some people it'd be kind of cool. It just doesn't feel like I don't know, I'm feeling weird just saying it.
It's terrifying. Genuinely terrifying.
Yeah.
It's gonna be a hard decade for truth in that way, isn't it? Of if this does become a more commonly used thing, and as you say, at the moment you can tell when it's a deep fake of Willem Dafoe's face, but as soon as I think 5 more years of this technology, it's going to be very, very hard to tell that difference.
Yeah,
I think eventually there's going to be another version of Nudegate when celebrities iPhones and iClouds were getting hacked. Like, people are just going to start taking celebrity faces and putting them on random porn star bodies and making their own porn. And that, I think that's when people are really going to start like freaking out. Like, once it affects rich people, that's when people care.
I think it's going to create an environment where technology companies need to be one step ahead of verifying these things. And this goes back to, I was watching like the History Channel years ago. There was train technology, and they had trains going across the United States for the first time and transporting a lot of money, oftentimes. And then they were getting robbed because people knew where they were going to be and they had a lot of money. So they had to, they created that technology to, transport things. And it was only when they had the telegraph that they were able to wire ahead that, there was bank robbers, or coming aboard to the next town, so they could catch these people. So it's like one technology gets invented, and then someone circumvents it, and then another technology has to be invented to, catch those people who are circumventing the technology. So it's just a long way of saying, stay tuned for, the good actors to come aboard.
Yeah, but for me, the only worry there is that everyone goes like, yeah, I don't want my money to be robbed. That's a bad thing. Please get rid of it. I think in today's social media world that people are far more willing to believe deepfakes without any question. They're like, oh, that's weird, must be true, and that feeling of like it makes it that much harder to try and stop it happening if people aren't willing to sort of go, hang on, this is curious, and then people can go, how actually that is fake. If people just don't even question it in the first place and it takes on a life of its own, then yeah, but then we're getting into a whole world of social media echo chambers and bias and fake news. And who wants that? We want to hear about Swider talking really quickly for 60 seconds, don't we? So, Matt, are you ready for the news blast? Do you know the rules?
No.
Okay, fine. So you have 60 seconds to give our listeners as many news stories in their ears as you possibly can. Now, the only rules are you cannot read from a script. We'll know, we can still hear your deepfake voice if you are reading from something, and you must, pass on the actual gist of the story to the reader or the listener. Sorry, you must pass on the gist of the story to the listener. So they must feel like, okay, I get what you're saying. Thanks. Move on. And the record you're going for is 13 as the highest or 1 as the lowest.
Oh, who did 1? I was looking forward to maybe doing that. Okay.
Right. Okay. On your marks, get set. News blast.
Ted Lasso Season 2 will be longer than Season 1. Samsung Galaxy Z Fold 3 and Z Flip 3 specs released and release date leaked. LG rollable patents may have revealed the phone's second screen and more. Android 12 leaked screenshot gives us our first look at how the Android update could look. macOS Big Sur upgrade reportedly causing data loss if low on hard drive space. Forza Horizon 4 is coming to Steam. Here's when you can play it. Apple glasses may be one step closer to reality if this leak is correct. Huawei MatePad Pro 2 5G looks likely soon, and it may have 40-watt charging. One of the best Legend of Zelda games could get a Nintendo Switch port. Ubisoft is undecided on whether it'll raise Xbox Series X and PS5 game prices. Spider-Man 3 won't feature Tom Maguire and Andrew Garfield, Tom Holland confirms. So some PS5 DualSense controllers are exhibiting dreaded stick
So
almost 12.
Yeah, you got almost 12. Now, what I do is I try and take off the ones where I feel like you read them from a script. So that's you got none there, Matt. You got literally none.
But here's the thing. Am I supposed to memorize these?
Yes.
Well, kind of. The way it kind of works is like you look at it, like you look at the stories beforehand, and you kind of get a paraphrase. So, like, tell us what the leak is. Tell us what the leak is. Like, just yeah. So I could see Gareth. Smilingly judgingly at you as you went through the list. I'm like, oh god.
But you know what? I'm gonna do a first on this game, Swider. Now you understand the rules. I'm gonna let you go again.
I don't want to go again.
It's like you've done literally no research on all of these stories.
Yeah, I actually proposed a lot of these stories.
Okay, so fine. You know what they're about. So let's go.
Yeah, I do.
Okay, so you just can't read out what's in front of you on the headlines that are already written down.
Just summarize the story.
That's the fun, because usually we hear things.
Summarize the headline. That's the point of the headline.
Yeah, you just read out the headlines that our producer had written down for you to know which ones they were. Forza Horizon 4 is coming to Steam, and here's when you can play it. That's not giving the reader any information. That's just reading the headline. Do you want to go again, or are you done? Are you just happy with 0?
I'm happy with my 12.
Okay, fine. All right, we're gonna move on.
All right,
people through that again because I pitched some of these stories, and I'm glad people have done them.
Okay, good. You know, I understand that you disregard the process and disrespect it entirely. That's fine. That's fine. Right, we're going from one element of the Swider psyche completely to another now. It's the new section. Can I expense this? And this week, Matt Swider. It's called Can I Expense This? And Matt Swider is on specifically because here's our correspondent in multiple screens. I'll let you know what's happened before we get into this. There is a brand out there who, for some reason, and I can't explain why, which is why Matt Swider is here. But there's a thing called the Aurora 7 laptop made by Expanscape, which has 7 fold-out screens from a laptop. I doubt you could really carry this as much. This is a prototype. It looks massively heavy and apparently has a battery life of 1 whole hour.
Wow.
So, you want to plug that in, and it's very much a kind of, you're going to move between houses, once every 3 weeks? Maybe that'll work. But Matt, you constantly berate me with your belief that 6 screens in front of you makes you more productive. You have TechRadar on them all the time in the background of things, so that's obviously a good thing to see for the brand recognition. But come on, if you're going to try and get me to let you expense this, how would you justify a laptop with 7 screens?
What did you say, Gareth? Which screen are you on? Oh, down there. You are over here.
You're making less use of it now. Like the fact you can't see where I am on a screen. I know you do it for a joke, but still, it shows that multiple screens are dangerous.
Oh, they're so good. And I know you're knocking it for the 1 hour battery life, and I get that it's not a long time, but the ability to say, "Oh, I'm going to have this at the office," and then transport it to my house or transport it to my parents' place. That's the appeal there. So, like a laptop, a gaming laptop that maybe doesn't have the best battery life, there's still appeal there, even though if it's a heavy one, like an MSI laptop. Because you can take it to like a LAN party. You can take this to different places. You might not be able to situate this in a coffee shop, although I'd love to see it. But this has appeal to me, especially because I have 6 monitors, like you mentioned, a desktop with crazy screens, and my only qualm with this, and I want to test it out, is that I haven't really seen it closed. In the front of it, at least.
So I can give you some stats on this. So it's a 4.3 inch thick laptop when it's closed, which is pretty hefty, and it weighs 26 pounds or nearly 12 kilograms to carry it.
That's a chunky boy.
Although Expanscape hopes to trim it down to 22 pounds, which maybe drop a couple of kilos off when all is said and done. So yeah, I don't know how much you're going to be able to move this back and forth. Like literally, you have to get wheels.
I just need a very large backpack. That's all, and I'll be good.
Honestly, I agree with Swider. I am all about this. I am all about outlandish tech, and this is just as outlandish as it gets. The more screens, the merrier. As someone who is a mega tab master, I am looking at about 80
mega tab master.
Yeah, I'm looking at about 80 tabs right now in Google Chrome. This poor MacBook, it hates me, but typically, if I were in I am jealous of very few things, but Matt Swider's setup does give me display envy. Like, I typically roll with one large curved monitor, but I see Matt's setup in the office when we were in the office, and like I would inwardly gnash my teeth, or sometimes I just look at him and he just give me the nod and a smirk, knowing that I was sitting there coveting his setup. So like it's like I also look at this like it's a gaming laptop. A lot of gaming, like I remember when I first started reviewing gaming laptops, if you got an hour, that was great. So I'm like, like you're working with all of these displays. Like, yes, is it a heavy chunky boy? Yes it is. But if I could take that from the office, like the situation that we're in now, if I had that laptop at the job, it was using that to be productive, and I could just bring it home and set it up and not have to worry about, okay, I need to make sure that this plugs in and this and this and that, and have all these this huge dock. Like I actually would go for this. I just want to see it for the novelty. I want to know what the resolution of the displays are. I want to know the refresh rate. I want to try to game on this thing.
I can give you some more here. So it's got an Intel i9 9900K processor, 64GB of RAM, an NVIDIA 1060 graphics card, 2 terabytes of storage with an additional 2.5 SSD. But there are 4 17.3-inch 4K screens, 2 in portrait, 2 in landscape, as well as 3 smaller 7-inch screens, all pushing full HD.
Oh,
which one is in the laptop's wrist rest.
Oh my
obviously.
god, that's so sad. Like they took they took the razor blade Project Valerie, combined it with Asus's screen pad technology. It was like, be free, children, have at it. I'm all about this. Like the thing that would sell me on this is if they could put either a 2080 or a 3080 in it, and then I'd be rocking and rolling because you've got a desktop processor in this. Yes, I want to touch this, all of it.
So if you want to touch it right now, you can actually. Well, Expanscape is offering to sell it to people. However, it won't tell you the price, and it says that interested buyers have to sign an NDA so that you can't tell anybody else what the price is going to be, because I don't think it's going to be cheap.
Oh no!
Let's be honest.
I mean, at this point,
madness.
I reviewed a $9,000 laptop. I just bring on the extravagance and the yes, I want this. I want to touch it.
What did that laptop taste like? I swear you must have licked it.
No, we don't. There's some kinks that even I don't engage in.
It's not kinks. It's that expensive. It's got to taste nice.
No.
Well, disagree, Sherri. We're out of time now. This has been a good podcast. I've had a good time today. I felt very in control, everyone, today. I don't know whether it's I'm feeling better from not being very well, but I felt like I've done segues. I've had a good time being in charge of certain things that I knew what I was talking about for once. It's been a great day for Gareth. Also, hey Dad, hope you're okay. He'll give me a call hopefully on Friday and let me know how he thought about today's podcast. He enjoyed last week's. He enjoyed the vegetable email section at the start. So just some feedback there. Probably only my dad listening right now, so that's good to have a backwards conversation with him. Sherri, how can people get in contact with you, and have you had a good time, and any other thoughts that you want to pass on to the rest of the world?
Well, I always have a good time with you, so that's number one. Number two, you can reach me on Twitter, Instagram, and I'm actually starting to play with Clubhouse. I finally bit the bullet and broke out my tester iPhone to see what this Clubhouse thing is all about. All of that at Miss Smith 11. That is MISS Smith 11. And as always, you can see me and my amazing, excellent, just groundbreaking staff. They make me so happy. On Laptop Mag and Laptop Before, Laptop Now, Laptop Forever.
Matthew Swider.
How can I follow that every time? Yeah. You can follow me at Matt Swider, SWITER, on all the social media platforms, Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook when I post. But I will say this in closing, I miss seeing Sherri behind me sneak up like a sidler, and I'm checking the time. Oh, 1 p.m. She has gadget envy of these screens. I miss that in the office. One day that'll happen again.
One day.
Yeah.
I've sat at Matt's desk in America when I've gone over there for working business, and it genuinely feels like you're in a cave. Like when the lights get caught in the wrong place, I just feel like I'm in a little dark cave of I don't know what you would call it, because I obviously can't turn the monitors on because I don't have your mega machine capability. So I've just got my little laptop in front of it. I just feel like I'm about to be overwhelmed by the wave of monitors. But you know what? I've been trying to Google while we were talking proof that too many monitors is too much, but I can't find anything, Matt. So maybe I'm wrong. Maybe
I've expunged it from the internet.
Yeah, exactly. You've issued enough takedown notices that you've made the internet your bend to your whims. Pexy, what about you?
Hello, you can find me on Twitter at JamesRWP. That's basically
cool.
me.
And how's your day been?
My day's been good. This has been the highlight, definitely.
Excellent. And you can find me. I am Superbeav. That's SUPERBEAV, obviously, because I'm a grown-up. If I'm tweeting or giving other information across the socials. TechRadar, of course, is a much easier way to get in contact with all of the tech news of the world. And again, we are on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, something on TikTok, I think somewhere. Matt, our producer, is doing something. Not done Clubhouse, let's be honest, not a thing for us yet. But we are generally happy to have you, so please come along and listen. We do have an email address for this podcast, but we definitely need to get a new one. It is noisecancellingpodcast@futurenet.com. That's cancelling with 2 L's. Noisecancellingpodcast@futurenet.com. Sherri, have we had any emails yet to this?
I haven't even checked. Like
we are nailing this. Our IT department spent all that time making it for us. We've slagged it off as a name and we've not looked at it. So we've done really well. Cool. Well, thank you, everybody. It's been great to speak to you. And for all our noise cancelling listeners out there, of course, subscribe to us on Spotify, Apple, wherever you get your podcasts. Give us 5 stars on Apple because then we go up in charts. So more people will come and listen to us. Share with your friends. Look at the little social cuts on YouTube and what have you. And we'll speak to you next week. Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Bye.